guys, this is Tina from Shabbydabbydoodah. Welcome back to my channel. So we are here for another one of our mass making sessions. We are up to week number 165. So for anyone who doesn't watch my channel, we are doing reruns. So we are rerunning week number 65, week number 165. So yeah, what we're going to do today is we're going to make little file folders for our junk journals. So if you want to craft along, what you are going to need is you're going to need a variety of paper. Now, and I do say this all the time, I'm using digitals because that's what I mainly have these days. Obviously, if you don't have digitals, that's absolutely fine. You could use scrapbook paper, you could use sheet music, you could use book page. The only thing that I would say is if you're using, for instance, sheet music or book page, you may want to kind of double the thickness, so kind of stick two sheets together. If you are using scrapbook paper, I would avoid the very thin scrapbook paper, so I would tend to use thicker scrapbook paper. Yeah, I think probably, yeah, I think you're better off using thick. Sorry, I was just kind of overthinking it there, thinking, oh, could you use thin? You could use thin, but obviously that's going to kind of make your piece a little bit flimsy. So it's up to you, just play around. But yeah, you're going to need a selection of papers. You are going to need some glue. You are going to need some scissors. You may need a pen. Now, the reason why I say this is because to make my little shaped bits, you know, like a file folder. So, for instance, this is the type of thing that we're going to be making. I use a template. I use this. This is from one of my Curator's collections. So, all of my Curator's collection digitals in my shop, they all come with these file folders. And these are a printable that you obviously print out. It's the shape and then you know, cut it out and you assemble it. So I use that to make my, you know, I just draw around it. So you're going to need a biro and you're going to need something to use as your template. Now, of course, you don't have to buy these. You could just draw your own, you know, just kind of, yeah, just, I don't know, you know, just on a piece of paper, just draw it how you want it to look and then cut it out. I mean, that obviously was shocking, but, you know, you get the idea. So just make yourself a template. Obviously, you don't have to have a template. If you feel confident that you can just cut it freehand, then, you know, that's fantastic. I personally am not really too good. So I would, you know, I would need kind of a bit of a shape there probably to get a good shape. So you're going to need a template of sorts or, you know, be prepared to do it freehand. You may want some corner rounder, just so that if you want to do some different types of looks, you may round your corners and things like that. Again, that's completely optional. You may want a bone folder for when you fold your, you know, file folder up. Alternatively, you can obviously use the, you know, the scissor handle. I think that's probably it, to be honest. And then, of course, my desk being the tip that it is, I have got a whole variety of things that I can put in to decorate. So if you want to decorate yours, you may want to, you know, have some things on hand to use. The only other thing that I would say is we will maybe do some, you know, kind of varying types. So we may do some that you open and some that are, you know, glued closed. So if you wanted to do kind of double-sided printing or use double-sided paper, that, you know, that may be nice. So, and actually, I've now decided I am actually going to just run off a couple of these, I think, double-sided, just so that I've got something pretty on the back. And I'll probably just, you know, put something quite neutral on the back, but just so that I've got kind of a variety to make. Alternatively, of course, you could coffee dye the backs of them if you didn't want them just stark white. So, yeah, I think that's everything you're going to need. So let's get making. Okay, I'm back. So I have a cup of tea now and I've double-sided a couple of my papers. Not too many, but just a couple. So let's get cracking and see how we make these. So, for instance, on this one, I might do a small one. Shall I do a small one or shall we do a big one? No, I might do a small one. So if I was doing a small one, what I would do, I'm going to cut it in half. Now, I'm going to cut it just over the halfway point, if you see what I mean. So that when I fold the edges in, it's going to be wide enough, if that makes sense. So if I were just to cut it in half, I might not find that it's actually wide enough. So I'm going to start by folding my edges in. So these are like my little gusset type bits that are going to then, you know, I'll show you, form these pockets. So I'm just kind of folding those in, one there, oops, like that, and then one on the other edge. Okay, like that. Okay, I don't know why I've done that one ginormous compared to the other side, but anyway, that's just sometimes how it goes. Okay, and then what you're going to do is just fold your piece up. Now, obviously what you want to do is kind of bear in mind that you're going to want an extra bit, if you see what I mean. So these file folders here, these are flat with the tab hanging out, if that makes sense. Sometimes you get file folders where, you know, the back is kind of, you know, in line. So it would be like, that would be the back. But sometimes you get them where they're flat. So you just need to kind of bear that in mind and kind of, you know, decide how you want it to be. So for instance, if I want this one to overhang, i.e., you know, the little, you know, bit sticking up, if I want that to overhang, then I need to fold it a little bit taller. So just, you know, just a small bit taller like that. Okay, so squish that down like that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to cut your, draw your shape. So I'm just going to take my shape, decide where roughly you want it, and you're just going to draw that shape on there. Oops, I have made, oh my gosh. I mean, this is with a template. Look at the mess I'm making of this. So you just want to draw your shape round. Now, I'm going to use the back of this as my guide of approximately where I want to cut that, if that makes sense. So then I take my scissors and obviously just cut down like that, and then just cut your little top bit like that, and then obviously snip in again, doing your straight edge like that. Okay, I'm just going to round that slightly. There we go. And that's it. And that's your little file foldery piece. And then what I like to do is I just open it back out like this. So I've opened it out and I've opened out my folded in edges. And at that point, you can just miter down. I miter at the top, and then I miter down here as well on this kind of, you know, where the actual fold is. And I do that on the other side as well. So I've got my folded edge unfolded, and we just miter it down. And obviously I do it at the top and the, you know, the middle where the fold is. The top so that you don't see your pieces of paper. So when you fold that in, it's all going to glue neatly. Those mitered edges are kind of well within the actual piece itself. Okay, so I just need to just trim this up slightly like that. Okay, and then all you do is obviously take your glue and then just glue your edges down. Now obviously depending on how big you've done your flaps, I like to just glue like a line of glue kind of on the inner edge and then the outer edge. So hopefully, you know, it's well glued down sort of everywhere, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to move that out of the way, and then we just take our file folder and just press that down and squish it together like that and like that. Oh, and this paper, this is from my Amaranthine Loveliness kit. So yeah, if you're wondering what paper this is. And that's it. That's your file folder. So obviously inside you've got a really nice roomy pockets. If you didn't bother with the gussets, which of course you could make them not having gussets, but you would just end up with, you know, a tighter pocket, if you see what I mean. Whereas like this, it's really quite nice and roomy. And then you could obviously, you know, paper clip this in. You could obviously glue it on a page, you know, however you like. I think I've actually probably done it a little bit too wide to actually be glued onto a page. But, you know, depending on how you want to use it, really, you can kind of then just, you know, adjust it. So let's do another one. And this time we'll do one sideways on. So we'll make a much bigger, you know, file folder, if that makes sense. So just going to cut this edge down because my printer's not printed quite borderless. So I'll just take this off like that. Okay. Now this obviously is, you know, it's a full A4 page. So at the moment it would be, you know, pretty big. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to again fold my kind of gusset pieces in like that. Okay. Now I've got to be honest, I'm not sure whether in the initial video or yeah, the original video, I'm not sure whether I did it this way round. I've got a funny feeling I didn't. So this is just kind of, you know, something, and I talked about this before. I think the reruns are really helpful because I think over time we develop sort of not necessarily better ways, but, you know, ways that suit us more, maybe faster ways, maybe, you know, things that just suit our style best. So for me, I think actually, I'm not sure, like I say, whether I did this in the first, you know, the first time around. But if I didn't, then I would say this is probably, for me, a better way of doing this. And I'm not necessarily saying that it would be a better way for you. Obviously, you know, you may have a different style completely. But for me, I think that's probably just works slightly better. So I'm going to fold this up. Now, I'm going to fold this in here so that I can chop it down, because at the moment it would be the full width of a page, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to fold it down like that and squish it down here. Okay. And then what I'll do is I'm going to cut the back so that the back is where the little, you know, ujimi thing is. Don't know really how to describe it, but you know, this, the file folder thing. So the file folder thing, instead of being on the front of this one, I'm going to have it on the back. So just again, put this down, just draw around that. You know, and if you wanted to extend it, you could obviously come along here and then just draw it along. So I might make it a bigger one for this, because obviously this is a much bigger pocket. So again, just drawn along there, so I know where to cut. So what I'll do, I will cut here, like that. And then cut here, like that. Okay. Down there, oops. Down there like that. And then just straight across that straight line. Like that. Okay, so now what I've got is I've got my file folder tab on the back side of the file folder, whereas on this one obviously it was on the front side. Now obviously I'm not really that keen on that because it is white. I'm just going to quickly have a sip of my tea. Oh, sorry about that. Right. So again, what you could do is obviously just take a bit of paper. So this is that same paper again from that amaranthine loveliness. Just take a bit there. So sorry if you can hear my printer. So let's just take this portion here, because that's a really nice texty part. And obviously then you could just glue that on, and then we can cut that to size. So I will just glue that on now. I mean, I don't really need it that big, so I could just, yeah, take it down. Probably, in fact, the efficient way to do it would be like that, and then it's more or less the size of the tab. Okay. Take that out. So, and this paper here, this is my Victorian Springtime papers, if you were wondering. So, okay, I've finished my tea now, you'll be pleased to know. So this now, we can just glue that onto there. And I've put it down, you know, so it's kind of going into the file folder. Just basically so it's not vulnerable. Whereas I feel like if I were to actually just try and, you know, fit it onto the little sticky up part, you know, I don't really feel like I would make a very good job of it, to be honest. I mean, I haven't made a very good job of it now. You can probably see I need to tidy that up. And that was doing it how I did it. So yeah, if I tried to actually just cut it to size and stick it on there, my goodness, it would be absolutely awful. So it's not great as it is, but yeah, it would have been even worse. So then again, I can obviously go in and just tidy this up. So just go around here, cut that in a little bit more, like that. Okay, and then just like that. Like that, okay. Oops, I've got just an overhang of paper there. There we go, like that. And how gorgeous does that look? Really simple to do. So then again, what I will do, I open it back out, open those folded edges out, fold it back in with the folded edges kind of hanging out this time. Mitre in where the fold line is, like that. And then mitre in where the edge is, like that. And on the top, oops, like that. That's it. And then we can obviously throw all those bits in the bin. Just trying to be a bit tidy and clear up as I go. And then that's it. And then we can obviously tuck our folds down. And like I say, I just like to run a bit of glue along the inside edge and the outside edge so that it's properly glued everywhere. So along there, whoops, along there, and then along on the inside as well. So you've got plenty of glue then. Fold your pieces in and then just bring it together like that. Squish that down. Okay, obviously this is the back of it now. So, I mean, it looks gorgeous from the back, doesn't it? We've obviously got that nice, you know, file folder tab there, but beautiful from the front. So yeah, absolutely love that. So that's that one. So I will just talk you through one more, and this time what we'll do, we'll just make one that we would have open as a yeah, as an open piece. So if I just bring this one in, for example. Now unfortunately, I just printed this double-sided just now so that I could kind of demonstrate this, and I can never remember which way to put them in the printer so that you get them double-sided, you know, both on the same way. So as you can see, I've put this in and now it's upside down. So if you have that scenario, again, just going to cut this border edge off. If you have that scenario and you're making these file folders, then the best way to do, or the best way to get around that, is instead of folding it like this way, because I'm going to make this an opening file folder, so that's obviously why I have double-sided it in the first place. But obviously if I opened it out, it would now be, you know, upside down on the inside. So if you have a scenario where this happens, cut it in half, and you want to make a piece that's going to open the other way, if that makes sense. So it probably didn't really make very good sense when I was describing it, but let's try it now. So just take that down here, like that, and then you want to fold it up like that. And then when you open it, both sides are now the right way up, if you see what I mean. So the inside's the right way up and the outside's the right way up. So again, what I'm going to do, I think, is, which way round? Yeah, I might have the, you know, file folder detail on the back, you know, the tab. So I'm just going to squish that down there. Now, the advantage of this one is, of course, we do not have to muck about doing those gussets because this is going to be an opening piece. So then I just put my shaped tab in there. So decide where I want to because obviously I've got this pretty bit of text. So decide where I want to have that, so that hopefully I get the, you know, the pretty text there, like that. And then just draw along again here. Okay, open that out and cut this out. And like I say, I mean, you don't have to use double-sided. You could coffee dye the inside. I mean, you know, you might not mind the inside being white, and that's fine too. But if you do, then, you know, you can always print double-sided. I mean, you could even, you know, if you had single-sided scrapbook paper that you were using, but you've got access to a printer, you could even run your scrapbook paper through so that you double-side your scrapbook paper. You know, if you so wish, you know, you'd have to obviously cut it down to the size that fits your printer, but that's an option. So just checking now. Yeah, like that. And then what you could do is obviously on the inside, you could then add some pages. Now, again, I'm now struggling to see any coffee dyed paper here. Oh dear. Right. I can't see any coffee dyed paper now laying around anywhere. Hang on a second. Oh, I'm so sorry that I'm now leaning across the whole desk. No, I can't see any. But what you would do is obviously attach your pages into here. So I'm still seeing whether I've got any. So sorry about this. Okay, well, I mean, this is, you know, this is thicker than I would use. But for instance here, you know, if this were copy paper thickness, coffee dyed paper, you could put those in. And then what you've got is a little sort of booklet. Just stitch them or staple them through the middle. So it's a file folder booklet. And what I was talking about with the rounding of the corners, of course, you could then, you know, take your corner rounder. It's a bit tricky to get in once you've cut your file tab, but it's not impossible. You just kind of need to shimmy it in, but like that. So if you've printed, you know, that's for if you've printed upside down, double-sided, you know, that's a get around, is have it open in that way. But of course, you know, if you've printed them properly, how I'd intended on doing it, then you can do it that way and open it out like a conventional kind of booklet. So that's another option. And like I say, I will put some pages in here. So, and if you were wondering, this is my Isabella papers, and the inside is from the Victorian Gallery kit. So that's what that is. Okay, so I will be quiet really about the process now, because I think I've talked you through quite a few now, so you probably don't need me rabbiting on anymore. I'm sure that it's all kind of come clear now. And we will just get mass making some really. So yeah, yeah, let's just kind of relax and have a nice time, have a catch up, and yeah, just enjoy ourselves. So I hope everybody's week has started out well. I'm going to do them assembly line style. So by that, I just mean I'm going to kind of do all my cutting at first and all the folding, all the gluing, you know, all kind of in stages. So if you're not familiar with, you know, the mass making workshops that we have every Tuesday, that's kind of the general, you know, the general how I like to do it. So this one, again, I have made the mistake of printing it upside down. So I'm going to, again, have to have a, you know, file folder like this, which actually this is not ideal paper to use because of course I'm losing half the images, so perhaps I won't even make one with that. So this is my Country Cottages paper, and obviously I had intended on doing one this way round, but because I've mucked up the inside, I'll save that for another project. Okay, right, I shall stop rabbiting on now. So I'm just going to get cutting and get making some. Oh, this one's one that I actually managed to print the right way round, would you believe? Right, so yeah, I hope everybody's week has started out well. You know, hope that you've all, yeah, had a good week, had a good weekend, and that you're all doing great. So I'm just having a look. Sorry, I'm just now wondering whether I should make some tiny ones. I don't very often make sort of tiny things, but yeah, I'm kind of thinking perhaps I should do some teeny things. I mean, tiny and me don't really go together, it's got to be said, but I'm kind of thinking, well, perhaps that would be really fun for a change to make some tiny things. Yeah, I never do tiny, so yeah, this might be quite interesting. Okay, I'm going to just cut this down here to start this. So, yeah, I'm so sorry that I did say I was going to stop talking you through the process, but the only reason I'm doing it is just to say, of course, if you want to make some tiny things or tiny versions, just, you know, alter your paper accordingly. So this one, for example, I'm now going to do 2 tiny ones. So I might do one here and then the top one like that. So I'm just going to cut that in the half like that. Okay, and again, you know, could do these as little booklets, I think. So yeah, just place my file folder edge and then just, you know, draw my template round. So anyway, I will stop talking you through all of this now. So yeah, so that I hope that I hope everybody's week has started out well. If you watch my channel, you'll know that I generally film these on a Monday, ready to go out onto the Tuesday. So obviously my week has only just started. It is so soggy here. I mean, we've had nothing but rain for kind of thinking a week. I feel like it could even be longer than a week, to be honest. It seems endlessly. It's going on endlessly. But I may be exaggerating there. But it's been raining for, you know, for a fair while now. So, yeah, it's still continuing with the rain. And I'm doing another one that's going to be just in betweeny size here. So I'll just take that one down like that. So yeah, we've had nothing but rain, and today, honestly, it is so wet. It's just hideous, absolutely hideous. So I'm really pleased to have the excuse to be in crafting and hanging out with you guys. But yeah, I hope that everybody else's week has started out brilliantly, and maybe it's less soggy where you are. I mean, obviously, if you're in the UK, the chances are it's soggy wherever you are, because I think it's soggy everywhere in the UK. But yeah, now you can probably hear, for anyone who follows my channel, obviously my printer is printing. So yeah, no, I still haven't got my ink. So I know I filmed last week the elves, you know, Eve elves in the collaboration video, and I said my ink still hasn't arrived. Well, it still hasn't arrived, but just as I was at the weekend kind of thinking, oh my goodness, this is just awful, I'm going to have to buy another printer, because I was so desperate to print some things, because I'm so behind. I've got sort of lots of things that I'm trying to be doing. You know, I've been working on a Christmas kit and things like that. Obviously, I still need to finish my Halloween project, which now I have not been able to finish because, you know, I've got no... I'm not assembly lining these at all, am I? I'm just rabbiting on and just doing them. So anyway, yeah, I was so busy kind of like thinking, oh, you know, I desperately need ink. So I was looking for a new printer, thinking, oh, I'm going to have to just, you know, bite the bullet and buy a new printer, because this is crazy. You know, I can't just keep going without a printer. And my son said, well, why do you have to buy a new printer? He said, can you not just buy ink? Can I buy ink? I don't know why. And this just sounds like such a crazy thing to say. This is my Redbirds kit, for anybody wondering what this is. Yeah, this sounds like a really crazy thing, but it hadn't actually entered my head that I could just actually buy ink. Because I do the instant ink, it just did not occur to me that I could actually just buy ink. So when he said that, I said, oh, I don't know whether I can buy ink for it, because, you know, I've always done the, you know, the instant ink subscription. I'd never really thought to look and see if I could actually buy the ink, you know, for the printer. So anyway, I looked it up, and of course, yes, I was able to buy the ink. So, oh, problem sorted. I mean, there was me going straight to catastrophe mode, thinking, oh my goodness, this is awful, I need to buy a new printer. I just said, Mum, why can't you just buy a cartridge? Wow. I mean, honestly, what is wrong with me that had not even occurred to me to do that? So anyway, I managed to find an ink cartridge in Argos. So I went and bought an ink cartridge just yesterday. I just got it, I think yesterday. Now I'm thinking, oh, maybe it was Saturday. Anyway, so I'm only just printing again. But oh my goodness, I am so thrilled to be printing at long last. So yeah, I'm going to obviously be finishing off my Halloween project. So anyone who was kind of like, you know, waiting for me to finish that, I can only apologise. I'm so sorry that it's been so slow in, you know, getting finished off. But I just honestly, you know, I couldn't finish it without the ink. So anyway, I've printed the bits off, and hopefully I will get round to filming, you know, the finish of that series today. So yeah, that's the plan. This is my Red Birds kit, these papers, by the way. And then the final one, actually, I did just print some other, hold on. Okay, right, I'm not going to use that. That was from the Country Cottages, but I actually also printed this one. This from my, I think it's the Regal Teal, and I printed off a couple of the images, which I thought I might decorate this one up using maybe one of these, I'm not sure. But these are all from the Regal Teal kit. And then I also printed this, which is from just a set of collage papers that I've got called the Mauve. So yeah, I might do one in this as well. So right, anyway, so yes, who knew that you could actually buy the you know, the cartridges? I mean, honestly, who didn't know that is more the point. So why that hadn't occurred to me, like I say, is just a mystery. But hey, it didn't. I was just going straight to catastrophe of buy a new printer. But anyway, so yeah, if I get time today, I will be finishing the Halloween project today. And then, yes, I will be working on the Christmas kit, so which I've been working on for the last couple of weeks. So I've got quite a lot more to do on that, but of course it was holding me up because without being able to print, you know, I didn't know whether anything was going to be usable, if you see what I mean. Because when you're making digitals, I'm sure anyone who makes digitals will kind of understand what I'm saying. You know, you could end up wasting your whole time because things can sometimes look really great on screen and then you print them out and they look awful. You know, so it was a kind of gamble because I thought, well, I could be wasting my time completely, and when I come to print this out it just looked absolutely rubbish. But yeah, touch wood, the bits I printed yesterday of it were looking really pretty so far, so fingers crossed it's going to look good. And I have used some of your suggestions for a theme for the kit, so I'm keeping it on the down and low, as they would say at the moment. So is that the expression, when you're keeping something kind of secret? So yeah, at the moment, keeping it quiet what the theme is, but I have used some of your lovely suggestions, so I do appreciate that. Thank you very much. Right, okay, we have that one, and then we were going to do one with the Mauve, and then we'll probably have to kind of you know, get assembling them and decorating them. So yeah, this one I might do. And I'm so sorry about the inside here, but actually it might work quite well because I could probably put it like that and then incorporate that as the tabs. So yeah, let's do that. Oops. Okay. And I forgot to do the gusset edges, but never mind. Which section do we want? Let's have just this, I think. Yeah, anyway, so I hope that everybody you know, has really kind of been enjoying all of the collaboration videos. I mean, obviously I did not put that collaboration together or anything like that, but there's been some great videos so far, so thank you so much to Rachel over at Rachel and Bella Crafts, because I mean, honestly, putting those collaborations together, it must be such hard work. So yeah, I really do appreciate it, and I know I have said this before, but it is, you know, really, really awesome. And she does this brilliant job of obviously, you know, putting a schedule together, and I mean, a lot of work goes into that. So yeah, I hope that everybody's really enjoying all the videos. And thank you so much for everyone's lovely comments on my video on Friday with the elves. Well, they were gnomes, but you know, yeah, I mean, it was fun to improvise, and you know, lots of you did say it was really great to just see kind of working with what we have. I'm going to just chop this down slightly, probably on the bottom actually, so yeah, just going to make it slightly shorter. Yeah, I mean, it's fun, isn't it, to work with what you've got sometimes. And, you know, sometimes that's when you kind of can be the most imaginative. So, yeah, thank you so much to everyone's lovely, kind comments. I'm really pleased that you enjoyed the video. So what's new with me? Well, I have some very, very exciting news. Now, I have to say, very exciting, but slightly like, what am I doing? What am I thinking? Yep, it's one of those moments, I'm afraid. So my mum, I think it was earlier on this year, she was developing like a problem with her hip, and, you know, she didn't know what it was, and you know, she wondered, was it, you know, a bit of sciatica or something? She didn't really know. Anyway, she, you know, was continuing, obviously, with her life, you know, as you do. So she'd booked a holiday to go with my sisters. They are going to the Canaries. And they're going on Saturday. Well, since then, so they booked that a long time ago, maybe 6 months ago or something. But since then, she has been told she needs a hip replacement, you know, operation. Well, over the last 2 weeks, her hip has suddenly taken a severe nosedive. So it's gone from being kind of like, you know, she's been walking on crutches for several months, actually. But it's gone from that to now, literally, she can kind of, you know, barely even manage on the crutches. So she's, you know, having to be pushed around in a wheelchair quite a bit, you know, quite a bit of the time. My dad's kind of having to push her around in the wheelchair, and it's excruciatingly painful. So, you know, she's really kind of like gone downhill. And last week I spoke to her. I mean, she doesn't watch my videos, so she won't know that I'm saying this anyway. But she probably wouldn't be very happy if she knew that I was saying all this. But when I spoke to her last week, it was, I don't know, Thursday or something, she was very, very tearful and very kind of upset because obviously she's, you know, she's nervous for the hip operation. You know, she also is in pain, so that's of course upsetting her. But as well, she just is really, you know, panicking and feeling under pressure about going on this holiday. So I said to her, well, you know, let's just separate the things out because, you know, you've got no choice but to have the operation because, you know, you're in agony. It's not like an optional thing. You've got no choice but to have it. Then let's look at the next thing. You know, the pain, well, you've only got a few weeks left until you're going to have the operation. So, you know, although you are in pain, you know, that's going to be over soon. I said, you know, what's really bothering you is obviously you're pressurizing yourself to go on holiday, and you're thinking, how on earth am I going to go on holiday? Because, you know, she's really struggling. And so she said, well, yeah, you know, I don't want to let everybody down because I've obviously agreed to go. We've booked it. You know, I don't want to let people down. I said, well, in fairness, you know, nobody really wants to go on holiday with you kind of like, you know, not able to do anything either. I mean, you know, what's going to ruin their holiday more? You not going, or actually you going and sort of hobbling around and, you know, I mean, yeah, just not really able to kind of function properly. You know, that would be pretty draining on everybody. So she kind of agreed. So I said, well, you know, if you take the pressure off and just think, you know, just accept it, you cannot go on that holiday. You know, that's one of those problems gone instantly. So I said, well, let me try and phone around and see if I can find, because obviously they're now having to pay private to, you know, have the hip operation, which everybody you speak to is having to do that now. You know, I mean, the wait on the NHS, I think, you know, it's so long now that every single person that I know, you know, for the longest time now, if they have any procedures done, they are literally paying privately. I mean, who is actually getting things on the NHS? I'm not too sure, but definitely nobody I know. I can say that. So anyway, I said, well, let me see if I can find somewhere that's got a sooner, you know, surgery slot. So I think she's booked in now for the 1st of December. Anyway, when I phoned her back, she looked so much better because she had obviously faced the fact that she could not go on holiday now. And so the relief was just visible. You know, she just looked like a different person to sort of half an hour before. So I had said to her, well, you know, phone up the holiday company and see if you can swap your holiday to, you know, another time, like, you know, or phone your insurance, see if you can get your money back. Ask the holiday company, can you get your money back? You know, well, turns out they can't do any of those things because it's a, you know, what they would call a pre-existing condition. Even though, you know, in fairness, she did not know it was going to get that bad. I mean, when they booked the holiday, she didn't even know she needed a new hip. She just was having a painful hip. I mean, you know, that could have been sort of anything, you know. But so, of course, you know, she can't get her money back or anything. They couldn't swap the holiday to obviously a different time or anything because it's, you know, very short notice. The only thing they could do was swap the holiday to another person. So, yeah, you guessed it. And I don't know why I'm trying to make it sound like, oh, poor me. I'm not in any way saying poor me. Please don't think I'm saying that. But more what I'm meaning is, what am I thinking? Because this is actually kind of like my busiest time of year. And now I'm going on holiday. What is going on? But I think, obviously, because, you know, my mum and dad were just going to lose the money. And, you know, no one was going to have that holiday then. So, of course, you know, I've kind of done a deal, you know, with my mum and dad so that, you know, I'm giving them some money so they're getting some money back. Obviously I couldn't really afford the full price that they had paid, but so it was just booked for 2 people in their room. But they're going with, like I say, you know, my sisters, and yeah, so there was only you know, a place for 2 people. So I'm just going with my daughter. My son, my middle son, has started work, which I'll tell you about that in a second. So he couldn't have come anyway, which I'm so gutted because I would have absolutely loved him to have been able to come with us. But yeah, he obviously couldn't come anyway. So that was kind of like out of the question. My eldest son, obviously, you know, he works, so he couldn't come because he's used all of his annual leave. So it's just my daughter and I going. But like I say, I mean, going with my sisters. So this is my younger sister who, you know, also kind of got divorced last year. So with her and her son, and then my older sister and her husband and their eldest son is also going. But, you know, he's a grown up. So, yeah, so it's us who are going. We're going on Saturday. I mean, what on earth? Why am I doing this? I have no idea. But yeah, please don't think I'm saying, oh, poor me. I'm in no way saying that. I mean, wow, lucky me going on holiday. But yeah, to be honest, what am I thinking kind of work-wise? This is just crazy, crazy, crazy. So I'm going to be like really working this week trying to get everything done before I go. But the other thing is, obviously, you know, anyone who watches my channel, you'll know that, you know, I have got divorced, and, you know, I will do an update video soon of, you know, what's going on in my life. I have to say, just very briefly touching on that, I don't want to drag our session down today or anything, but this has been the worst 18 months of my life without any doubt. So to be honest, you know, I think a nice bit of quality time for my daughter and I going away, just us, away from, you know, all the stuff that's been going on, I think is going to be really good for her anyway. You know, because it really has been an awful, awful 18 months. You know, things are still far from sorted. You know, my husband, unfortunately, has not paid for anything for a whole year now, you know, and I mean nothing, not the mortgage, the bills, the kids, nothing at all. So, I mean, we're very much, you know, very stressed in our house, and it's not been a good year at all. So, you know, don't want to kind of, like I say, bring this video down or anything by talking about that, and I will do an update soon. But needless to say, you know, I think actually it just would be really nice for her to have a treat, you know, to go away and actually have just a really nice time, because I mean, she's such a good girl and she says nothing, you know, she does not say anything, you know, she's not kind of playing up or anything like that. But I mean, of course, it's taken its toll on her. I mean, she just wouldn't be human if it was not taking its toll on her. So, you know, she really kind of, I think, deserves, you know, to have a nice time, I think. So, yeah, really kind of, you know, but I just wish that my sons could come as well, because, of course, you know, they also deserve a nice time and deserve, you know, a bit of time out after the awful 18 months that we've had. So, you know, it's a shame, but like I say, you know, they both work now. So, yeah. So anyway, that is that. So I'm going to be like really busy trying to get ready ahead of the holiday. I will film, well, I say I will. I'm going to just say I will hopefully, I'm going to aim to film the mass make for the 2 weeks that I will be away. So I will try and aim to have that filmed. Obviously, I have other videos, you know, already filmed, but, you know, that I always kind of have in the bank for occasions like this. I mean, not that I ever expect to just be going on holiday at the drop of the hat normally, but, you know, for just life's unexpected eventualities. So there will definitely be plenty of videos going up. I will, of course, you know, try and make sure I've got access to the internet, although it may be sketchy internet access, but I will do my best to, you know, be contactable, you know, whilst I'm away. So yeah, that's kind of the good news. The really exciting news in our house is that my daughter and I, we are going on holiday. Lucky us is all I can say. You know, when I look outside and I see that awful, horrible, drab, rainy weather, I just think, oh my goodness, how lucky are we, you know, that we're going to escape for a little while. So yeah, we really are very lucky. Right, I'm just going to use this offcut here for the tab. So that's that. My son, so my middle son, again, if you watch my channel, he has just started his new job. So he left school in the summer. He wanted to get an apprenticeship. He couldn't find one. He'd been offered a job in the call centre and things, and nearly took that. Gave me a heart attack thinking, oh gosh, he's going to take the, you know, the wrong thing. He's going to, you know, make a mess of his life. Anyway, thank goodness. So he got an apprenticeship. He's doing digital marketing. You know, I'm not entirely sure what exactly that consists of, but anyway, he's doing that. And he started on Monday last week. So, yep, he started on Monday last week. So I'm so super proud of him and so happy for him. Honestly, he just looks like a different person already. I mean, it's so funny, isn't it? When kids go off suddenly into the world, and I can remember it with my oldest son when he did his work experience, he kind of changed into a man overnight. Now, unfortunately, because of COVID and all of that, my middle son didn't ever get to do work experience. I mean, obviously he's had a job anyway for a long time, but, you know, on a weekend. But yeah, he didn't ever get to do work experience as such because COVID, you know, put kind of a block on that. But he now is obviously, you know, properly doing this job. It's a bit of a trek to get to, so he's having to get the train every day, which, for instance, today it's a bit of a nuisance because there's a train strike, so he's had to get the bus. So he's had to set off. He left home at 6:45 this morning to get there for 9 o'clock. So bless him, he's kind of having to put himself out, you know, to even get there. Last week, so he started on Monday. He had a lovely day. He was kind of full of it, very excited. Tuesday, oh my goodness, he FaceTimed me on his way to work. You know, having left for work, he then FaceTimed me. He said, oh mum, guess what's just happened? What? The trains had then been cancelled. I'm not even too sure why actually last week, to be honest, but anyway, the trains had been cancelled. And he was then having to get, you know, the later train, which then of course was going to make him late. And then when he got onto that train, it just suddenly terminated at the stop before the stop that he needed to get off at. You know, they hadn't informed the passengers or anything, and just said, this train will be terminating here. So he then had to get off, put his Google Maps on and walk the rest of the way, which took half an hour. So, yeah, he was obviously very stressed because that was his second day at work. And I mean, how embarrassing, because he then had to phone them up saying, you know, I'm so sorry, I'm going to be late, you know, on his second day, bless him. So, yeah, not good. Anyway, so I would really love, you know, if they could have been able to come on holiday with us. But, yeah, sadly they can't. But, you know, that's fine. Right, I'm going to do this. So, I don't know how long I've been filming for because I have broken filming a couple of times. So I'm no longer sure how long I've been filming for. But I'm just going to take a little image here from this regal teal, and we will just decorate one up. So yeah, but touch wood, it's going really well. He's really enjoying it. He's told me lots of fun stories already about his days, you know, when he's been there. So fingers crossed he's doing something that he's really enjoying. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased that he's getting on okay, and he's enjoying it so far, at least. Because I mean, it is a worry, isn't it? And you do think, oh gosh, I hope you're doing the right thing. Oh, might have to have that lace on there. Yeah, so that's kind of what's going on with him. On Saturday, watched a brilliant film with him. So we went to the cinema. We watched a film called Call Jane. Now, I hadn't really heard of it. I hadn't seen it advertised or anything. But again, it was pouring with rain all of Saturday. So we were just looking to escape the weather, really. So I said to him, oh, there's this film on, you know, and it was with Elizabeth Banks. Well, I love her as an actress. She's a brilliant actress. She's the one who played Effie in The Hunger Games. You know, she does not normally look like that, obviously. She's normally much more glamorous than that. But she's a brilliant actress. So I said to him, you know, do you fancy watching that? So we went to see it. Oh, my goodness. It was such a good film. So it was, yeah, I mean, I don't want to go into too many details because obviously I don't want to spoil the film, but also it might not be an appropriate subject to talk about on video. So basically it's about, you know, abortion rights for women. I can't remember what state it was in America, but somewhere. It was based on a true story, and it was just a really, really, really good film. So yeah, very, very good film. Quite sad, quite kind of emotional, but yeah, really good film. So if you're an Elizabeth Banks film fan, if you're an Elizabeth Banks fan, I would really recommend it. It was a really good film. So yeah, we really enjoyed that. Then on Saturday night, I had actually been invited to a party. So when I say a party, it was an old friend of mine. It was his 50th birthday. So it was a kind of surprise gathering, really, in a pub. So yeah, I have not seen this guy for 30 years. 30 years. I mean, that's such a long time, isn't it? So, yeah, but I had, you know, I'm friends with somebody at the gym, like who I used to know, obviously, 30 years ago. And he said to me, oh, do you remember so-and-so, so-and-so? So I said, oh, yeah. He said, oh, it's his 50th on Saturday. He said, you know, would you like to come just as friends, you know, and come to his party? So, I said, yeah, that would be good. Wow, of course, I was so nervous when it got to Saturday because now I don't drink. So I'd agreed to go. And then suddenly he said, oh, you know, and some other people are coming. And obviously I straight away thought, oh, gosh, other people, you know, because this is a big deal for me. I haven't been out on my own since before getting married. You know, like that's 25 years ago. So, you know, like, I mean, obviously I have been out, you know, and I mean, maybe I've been out, maybe, I don't know, with girlfriends or something, you know, to the cinema for a meal, things like that. I've not been out on my own, like to a, you know, something where I'm not going to necessarily know everybody and things like that. I mean, since honestly, before I was married, and oh my goodness, how terrifying is that? So, of course, I spent Saturday feeling quite nervous, thinking, oh my goodness, you know. So anyway, he said, oh, so-and-so's coming, you know, they're going to meet and we're going to get a taxi. So I said, oh, okay. I said, well, look, you know, I don't drink, so I'm more than happy to drive. You know, why pay for a taxi? I can just drive us. So I did that. Well, Saturday night, I mean, I don't really like driving in the dark. And it was absolutely chucking it down with rain, you know, where you can't see in front of you. So I was driving like, you know, driving Miss Daisy, like going super, super slow. I did apologise and said, look, I'm so sorry, but I'm not used to driving at night, to be honest, and I just can't see a thing in front of me. You know, anyway, it was fine. But yeah, so that was my highlight really of the weekend, was going to that, you know, that, I mean, not really a party, but, you know, get together. And yeah, it was nice. I saw some old people, not old people, but, you know, people from my past who I've not seen for a long time. yeah, so it was nice. It was good fun, and it was really nice of him to have invited me. So that was really good, and yeah, it was fun. But like all these things, you know, I spent all of Saturday thinking, oh my goodness, I feel really nervous. And of course, nothing's ever as bad as you expect, is it? Or, you know, imagine. I mean, why did I expect it to be bad? I mean, no one goes out to have a rubbish time, do they? People are going out to have a nice time. So why in my head did I think it was going to be awful? I don't know. But yeah, anyway, had a nice time. Did not get home until 12 o'clock. Well, gone 12 o'clock. It was just gone 12 o'clock. I mean, this is from the person who goes to bed at 8 o'clock. I mean, I don't go to sleep, but I normally kind of like, yeah, retreat to my room by about 8 o'clock, just on my laptop and then, you know, watching TV. So, of course, that was another issue, was I was thinking, oh, my goodness, how am I going to even stay awake until, like, you know, closing time in the pub? Anyway, it was fine, and, yeah, I did have a nice time. But, yeah, that was my kind of, like, pushing myself outside of my boundaries. So, that's the pocket. Now, I think that's probably done. I don't really think it needs anything else. It looks pretty, you know, pretty to me. So, yeah, that's the Regal Teal kit, and it's got a couple of pages with all these gorgeous images. So, you know, it's a really nice kind of one to use with, obviously, you know, to be able to put the pieces on. And as you can see, I mean, that just took no time whatsoever to put together. Now, obviously, you can see the white in there. So, I mean, if that bothers you, you could just kind of like go in and just, you know, ink up that white edge just to kind of disguise that a little bit. But how gorgeous is that? So, like I say, the open ones, so for instance, these small ones, I will just get some coffee dyed paper sheets and put them in and either staple them in or, you know, stitch them on the sewing machine. But let's count how many we have done. So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, I have to say I've obviously got worse because in my original video I'd done 10. So yeah, I've obviously deteriorated in my old age. But yeah, I hope that you like them, and yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a fantastic week, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks so much then. Bye.